Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and we are starting to see some discussions and some problems start to arise in the community with how people are feeling about the endgame and the Nightmare Sigils mechanic as more and more people kind of get to that point. So I wanted to have a discussion here on the channel about this and compare it to maybe how the game felt in Diablo 3 and what I expect the future to look like, what the problems are, how to address them, and just kind of touch on some of the sentiments floating out there in the community and how I feel about them as we head into the future here of Diablo 4. So let's get into it. Alrighty, now first of all, for Diablo 4 right now, I think there's two different ways that you can go in terms of framing this discussion. You can go with, this is a brand new game and it's only been out for a couple weeks and it's had one of the better launches that we've seen of huge titles. There hasn't been too many connection issues or crashes or stuff like that. It is there, but it's not as bad as something like Diablo 3. Like when Diablo 3 came out, it was tragic compared to the state of Diablo 4 and its functionality. And then there's the other sentiment you can go, which is like Diablo 4 has a budget of hundreds of millions of dollars. It's made 700 million in revenue. It is a triple A studio. Like the things and the systems should be a little bit more robust and function a little bit better than they are currently. So that's kind of like the two states of mind right now. And I think, as always in life in general, the truth is usually somewhere in the middle. Which means I do think there is a lot that Diablo 4 is getting right, and I think there's a lot of reasons to be hopeful for the future here, but there is definitely some things that need to be addressed. So right now, the current kind of end game of Diablo 4 is going to be these Nightmare Sigils. It's going to be crafting ones that you like, that are going to be good for your class and your group with the right positive modifier and the right negative modifier, so you're able to get through the content and farm it a little bit more efficiently. Now, I do think this is a step in the right direction from Diablo 3, where Diablo 3, there was no like crafting system or anything like that. If you didn't play Diablo 3, they had regular rifts, and then they had the greater rifts, which is kind of the similar mechanic to Diablo 4, having the regular dungeons and then the nightmare dungeons. That's kind of exactly copy and pasted over, just with different names on it. So you would run the greater rift in Diablo 3, and then at the end of it, you would upgrade the thing you're leveling up, which was legendary gems in Diablo 3. In Diablo 4, the thing that you're upgrading after a nightmare dungeon is the glyphs that you socket into your Paragon board, which I think is one thing that they generally got right. I think it's a lot more interesting in Diablo 4 to have this Paragon board and how it interacts with the glyphs that you're upgrading via the Nightmare Dungeon mechanic, as opposed to the Diablo 4 gems that you just kind of leveled up and threw them in a piece of jewelry and you were done with it. The Paragon board, I think, has a lot more scaling ability to get crazier and crazier over time, and it's really going to unlock different builds and different things that can happen within the game, and it'll be a more robust system as a whole. But then also in Diablo 4, you've got the whole crafting mechanic. This didn't exist in Diablo 3. You didn't have to craft your Greater Rift keystones. You literally just had to farm them from regular rifts, and then you could run basically nightmare dungeons to your heart's content as long as you farmed up enough keys to go after them. But every greater rift was the same, and there was literally a drop down menu for picking your level. So it'd be like in Diablo 4 if there was a drop down menu to pick what level of nightmare dungeon you want to do, as long as you farmed up enough sigils. And again, similar to the Paragon board, I think Diablo 4's system has a little bit more capability to age well and bring more life into the game, because there's resource to manage and there's crafting to do, and it's a little bit more of like an end game mapping system. But there is definitely some things that I would change as of right now. So I think you should just be able to craft the level of sigil you want to craft, because especially with the resources it's going to cost right now, you do run out of the dust pretty fast. I think they should maybe either lower the cost of how much it costs to craft these nightmare sigils, or let you just pick the level. Like, just have a drop down menu and pick the level nightmare sigil you want to craft if they're going to cost what they do. And also right now it's a little bit hard for players to understand that the nightmare dungeons are kind of on a rotation, but there's no easy way to tell which ones are live right now. Like when you're going to be crafting these, you should be able to click somewhere that shows you the current ones that you can craft and the current nightmare dungeons that are within the rotation and all of that. And it should show you kind of like all of the positive effects and all of the negative effects. Like when you're re-rolling a piece of gear on Diablo 3, it very clearly lays out the options that you can get as a roll, and it doesn't do that yet in Diablo 4. As you can see right here, if I place my amulet in the occultist, then I'm gonna re-roll it. Like right now, the one that I have to re-roll is this total armor roll. Well, in Diablo 3, you could click a little thing that would load all of the possible options you could get. New players have no clue. Casual players are like, okay, I'm gonna re-roll this armor. What are my possible options? And then they click re-roll, and then you get a few choices, and you're like, okay, I don't know all of like the 25 things that could happen. Is this good or not? And it's a little bit less of an intuitive system for people to really grasp and sink their teeth into, which, by the way, I got +3 ranks on Devouring Blaze. That's awesome. So let's go ahead and scoop that up. That's actually hilarious. That's kind of what I wanted. I got it right there. First roll. Okay, great. So now I've got the +3 Devouring Blaze on the amulet. It's not perfect. I can definitely improve on this, but I actually got an upgrade there first try. And if you don't play Sorcerer, the reason that's so good is because this Devouring Blaze is a multiplier where I can increase my crit damage against burning enemies, and I set up the build in a way to keep enemies burning. So that's actually really, really good. I got a +3 roll on that first try here in the video. So where was I? I got distracted. See, all you gotta do, you gotta complain, you gotta have a stern voice, and you really gotta start to get upset with things, and then the game will give you what you want and rope you back in. It's like playing golf. You just hit terrible shot, terrible shot, terrible shot, but it's that one good shot that keeps you coming back for next time. But getting back to the discussion at hand with the Nightmare Sigils and all of that, I do think that they have addressed this officially, and they've said there's going to be changes coming, like a way to more intuitively teleport to the dungeons and all of that. The tricky part is that they have this amazing open world map, and they're trying to make Diablo 4 a different experience than like Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, where it's a more like closed off instance, everybody makes their own private game and stuff like that. They're trying to have a more open world environment. As you can see right here, we're standing next to other players and we're seeing them in the environment. I'm running across people with their names on the screen that I can interact with and trade with and stuff like that. They're trying to make it more of an open world feel, and I do like that. It's just when you do that, you need to also bring in the things like being able to teleport to your friends more easily, like being able to navigate to Nightmare Dungeons more easily. They've got the mount, which is a good step in the right direction. They didn't have anything like a mount in Diablo 2 or Diablo 3, so that is good, but they still kind of do like some silly things, like they put up a random skeleton barriers, so you have to jump off your mount, and then there's a cooldown to get back on it. So just like little things like this that are going to need to be addressed over the long haul to really unlock the true potential of Diablo 4. And for Nightmare Sigils, I would say it needs to feel a little bit better. I don't know how to describe it. I'm gonna try my best, but like in Diablo 3, like when you're developing a character, you're constantly moving up, and then you like unlock primal drops at level 70, and they do have something similar to that at Greater Rift level 70. They do have something similar to that in Diablo 4, where you unlock like ancestral drops when you can get into World Tier 4 and all of that. But I think there should be something like you clear a Nightmare Sigil 50, and then you unlock something else that can drop like another tier above ancestral gear that's super rare, something for people to really grind for in the end game and min-max their builds. And I'm sure we'll see something like that coming, because like in Diablo 3, they had the normal gear, the ancient gear, and then they had the primal gear, which is kind of like in Diablo 4, they've got sacred and ancestral, and then they don't have like that uber end tier roll of gear yet, and I bet you that comes at some point. Like in Diablo 3, primal gear was 1 in 400. So like if you got a drop right here, so I've got this Raiment of the Infinite. If I got a Raiment, it would be a 1 in 400 chance to be primal, and it would be like a 10% chance to be ancient. So they had like this tiered system that really, I mean, if you wanted to get primal pieces on your build, you would have to grind and grind and grind, and it kind of had a good middle ground of keeping, like what it did was it enabled the casual players to get the pieces they wanted for their build, but it also gave a carrot to the hardcore grinders to really grind to get primal pieces on as many slots as possible. So as much as Diablo 3 got wrong, I do think that was something they got right, and I hope we see like that next tier, that like primal gear that we can get above ancestral. And then also in Diablo 3, there was leaderboards. So what you could do was you could see the top 1,000 players for each class. So you could see like what level nightmare sigils are necromancers clearing and what build are they using. And oh, okay, this build is able to get up to like nightmare sigil 80. This build's only getting to nightmare 60. And you could really kind of look around the community and see what was going on very easily in game. Now, Blizzard has confirmed that leaderboards will be coming, so you'll be able to see some of the more interactive stuff like that. And that stuff didn't come to Diablo 3 until it had been out for like a year and a half, 2 years. So it is nice that we're going to be getting it. I think we'll get it like before the end of the year, probably somewhere around the holiday season. We'll have like season 3 launch. Well, okay, so season 1's going to be most likely August, September, and October. And then your next season is going to be like November, December, January. Okay, so it'll be like early 2024, probably about 6-7 months from now, that we probably get a robust leaderboard system added to the game. So that's some of my general thoughts and sentiments so far on kind of like these end game systems and the mapping system, the nightmare sigils, and all of that. Definitely let me know your thoughts down below. I appreciate all of you, and remember to subscribe on your way out if you enjoy daily Diablo 4 content. I will see you soon in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.